Now to a long-running conflict in the Middle East, which has divided countries on the best solution, even as thousands are killed and millions displaced. The escalation of the Israel-Hamas conflict in 2023 has so far claimed over 22,000 lives and displaced over 2 million people, both from Gaza and Israel, all within a span of 3 months. Our reporter Gatete Njoroge toured Israel 2 months after the war broke to assess the impact and talked to those affected by the current war.
On our arrival at Kibbutz Kfar Aza in southern Israel, we are ushered in by sounds of artillery as Israel's defense forces engage with Hamas.
Experience here. He's going to speak, and then I'm going to speak a little bit more.
Our guide says that this has been the situation for the last 3 months. After every 5 minutes, a loud bang can be heard.
We're going to be walking straight up over here.
This village, located about 3 kilometers from Gaza, was one of the hardest hit during the October 7th attack when Hamas military wing Is al-Din al-Qassam brigades attacked 10 villages, Nova Music Festival and highways in southern Israel. The attack left 1,139 people dead in Israel. About 250 others were abducted and taken to Gaza.
אזרחי ישראל, אנחנו במלחמה. לא במבצע, לא בסבבים, במלחמה.
Following the surprise attack, Israel announced Operation Iron Swords, a declaration that has led to a sustained war that has lasted close to 3 months, leaving over 21,000 people dead in the Gaza Strip. A tour inside Kfar Aza village, and one comes face to face with the effects of the October 7th attack.
When they came in,
Burnt houses, bullet holes, scattered items welcome us to this once quiet neighborhood where Israel Defense Forces officers camp to keep enemies away. Outside the 35 houses destroyed by Hamas are pictures of those who were killed on the fateful morning. In other houses are pictures of those who were abducted and taken to Gaza. Among those who were taken hostage from this village were Yotam Haim and Alom Shamriz, who were later accidentally killed during an operation by IDF in Gaza.
19 people were killed in this area. 18 of them were captured, okay, and a lot of them injured. When we came over here, we arrived over here Monday, was body parts. All over this place was body parts. We're picking up body parts.
young families with 1 or 2 kids, and the singles who had already finished high school, maybe were in the army or just finished the army and they're still single or whatnot. This was their housing, and they were the hardest hit.
100 people out of the 800 who were living in the village were killed during the attack. To access the village, Hamas bombed this electric gate and fence. A month ago, you could not come close to this fence which overlooks Gaza as Hamas snipers shot at soldiers.
Ready?
Another village that was worse hit was Nir Oz Kibbutz, 10 kilometers from Kfar Aza, where 30 people were killed and 75 others kidnapped. We meet the son of Alex Dancing, a 75-year-old historian who was among those taken captive in the area.
Kibbutz Nir Oz, many of the war crimes were committed by civilians.
Yuval Dancing says the father was kidnapped together with his uncle, who was shot and injured before being taken away.
He is after a major heart attack, and he have also a kidney problem, so we need to take medicine on a daily basis. So we know now from the women that was released that he don't get his medicines. We know that every day that passed by could be his last. Every hour can be his last because of his medical condition.
For 22-year-old Tamar Eshet, the abduction of his 23-year-old cousin Vatar David has broken the family. David was among the 3,500 people who had attended the Nova Music Festival, where 369 people were killed by Hamas militants on October 7th. Hamas have previously published videos and pictures of David in captivity.
His father, I know we're always talking about mother's fear, but I've never seen a father like that. He's broken. He's barely talking. If he's talking, he's just angry at everyone because because of all this situation.
The two are among family members of the 129 hostages who are still held captive in Gaza as the war continues.
Everything you see here is originally coming from the area of the party.
At the hostages square in Tel Aviv, the sad turn of events on October 7th becomes more clearer. Inside this commemoration center are remains of items that belonged to those who died, those who were kidnapped, and the survivors. Our guide, Tal Shimoni, survived the early morning attack and lived to tell the tale.
I was working with my team. I had like my little radio on me, and I went outside the bathroom and I see one missing a bit farther away, and I tell him, "Hey, what's going on?" And in the moment I said this sentence, dozens and hundreds of missiles were coming up above my head. There was a police officer that screamed at us, "Everyone who has a car, take your car and leave this area." He didn't know that there was a terror attack at that time. We only knew there were missiles, and I think he just felt something is wrong.
Over 1,000 cars, most of which were collected after being burnt during the attack on the Nova Music Festival, are kept in Tekuma area. Israel police are in charge of the car yard where they are collecting evidence to be used in future criminal cases. The repercussion of this attack has been bombardment across Gaza by Israel Defense Forces. The UN Agency for Palestine Refugees has put the figure of those killed in the Gaza Strip since the war began at 21,000, with children and women among the most affected. While in the West Bank, 300 people have been killed. Over 1.9 million people have been displaced in Gaza. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has warned of a looming famine if the conflict continues, with the UN stating that 4 out of the 5 hungriest people anywhere in the world are now in Gaza.
Stop this violence now.
Israel has remained adamant that it will not end the war despite calls from the international community.
A ceasefire means one thing and one thing only: ensuring the survival of Hamas.
Draft resolution is...
On the December 12th, 153 UN member states out of the 193 backed a resolution calling for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza, with only 10, including the US, Israel and Austria, voting against. 23 countries, including the UK and Germany, abstained from the vote.
No, there will be no ceasefire. We will fight until we bring all of them to justice and we make sure that they can never hurt our people again. Because there's no room for compromise with the people who will make a sick propaganda video torturing a father by telling him that his little children who were abducted from their beds were killed. There's no room for compromise. There's no hope for peace with Hamas. You want peace, Hamas has to go.
Hamas has defended the October 7th attack dubbed Operation Al-Aqsa Deluge, saying it was to hold Israel accountable for its aggression against the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the third holiest shrine in Islam, protest the condition of Palestinian prisoners in Israel prisons, and the expansion of Israeli settlements. The war, which has left thousands dead, including 7,000 Hamas fighters, has had a major effect on the tourism sector, which is one of the country's major sources of income. Over 2 million tourists visit Israel every year.
I think I've had already 12 cancellations of groups since then.
Our visit to key tourist sites on the streets reveal literally empty spaces. Shops have been closed, with those still in business complaining of low sales. Their hope is that the war will end sooner rather than later and allow them resume their normal lives. Experts believe that a two-state solution could bring lasting peace to the region, which has for decades experienced conflict.